thank everyone for showing up in this joint webinar between MyPack project and the construction CIRCUL-A-BILITY. This is the first time of a webinar like this, and I know MyPack project has been doing other webinars in cooperation with other projects. And the idea was to get together because an R&D project like MyPack and the cost action like CIRCUL-A-BILITY, I think they are very much synergistic in order to transfer innovation, all the innovation that came out from MyPack projects and the other projects, which has been carried out within the European Commission funds, to try to improve the sustainability of the use of packaging for foods, especially when we refer to plastic packaging, but not just that. This webinar in particular actually is focused on how to communicate to consumer when companies are doing their efforts in terms of increased sustainability in packaging. So actually there is around the world and in Europe in particular, lots of efforts from food companies in order to reduce the impact of packaging. And they are doing a number of different actions, from reducing the amount of plastic to replace the plastic with other materials, or to recycle and use more and more and try to use more and more the possibility of using recycled plastic also for food use. This is one of the frontiers where the R&D is going. So I'm very happy today to have Victoria Krauter from FH Campus Vienna and Giulia Granato, from Wageningen University Research. They will be giving their talk on the topics which I was mentioning before. I just want to introduce very briefly MyPack project, which is a project which aims to support the market introduction of sustainable packaging to reduce both food and packaging waste and their negative influence on the environment. The main objective is to provide general guidelines that will serve as a tool to select the best market for new technology. MyPack is a number of partners in different countries of Europe, both research institutions and companies and industry association. The coordinator of the project is Dr. Christophe Cotillon from Actia, which is a French network for food technology institute. On the other end, the cost action CIRCUL-A-BILITY is a cost action which is a place where industry and academia meet in order to generate ideas, and in this case to focus on packaging sustainability. So I think we will start with the Professor Victoria Krauter. And I guess Victoria also will introduce a little bit more the cost action and the activities that within the cost action we are planning. The cost action CIRCUL-A-BILITY started just a few months ago, so it's the first year, and it's going to last for 4 years. While I think MyPack project has been going on for the last 3 years, and it will be over in, I think, within this 2021. So let's say one project is finishing, the other one is starting, and they can do a lot together because we cover a very large number of countries and researchers and institutions and companies. Victoria Krauter will talk about circular packaging design and communication. Professor Krauter, after studying food biotechnology at the University of Natural Resources and Life Science in Vienna, specialized in the subject of food packaging and sustainability in her professional career. At FH Campus Vienna, she works in the Department of Packaging and Resource Management in Research and Teaching. She's also head of the Competence Center for Sustainable and Future-Oriented Packaging Solutions, and CTO Vienna Endowed Professor for Sustainable and Future-Oriented Packaging. Within the Cost Action CIRCUL-A-BILITY, she leads Working Group 4, which is dedicated to cereals and confectionery, so the packaging solutions, sustainable packaging solutions related to cereals and confectionery. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Victoria Krauter. Do you want to share your presentation, Victoria?
Mm-hmm.
You can see it.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thank you for already.
Just one, before I let you go, Victoria, I just want to tell the audience that they can write chats, they can write questions in the chat if they want at this, you know, as soon as they need. But we also will take oral questions at the end of both presentations, so after Victoria and Julia's presentation. So, Victoria, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Giancarlo. So my name, you already mentioned, it's Victoria Krauter, and I'm from FH Campus Wien, University of Applied Sciences. And here we are active in this department, Applied Life Sciences, where we have this section or Institute of Packaging and Resource Management. And we run different study programs. One of them is packaging technology, which is a bachelor and actually the very first study program in Austria that is dedicated to packaging. And additionally to that, we have a master called Packaging Technology and Sustainability. This is an international master held in English and also first of its kind in Austria. Within our department, but also institute, we focus on different research topics. So these are, for example, life cycle assessment, so sustainability of packaging, but also safety of packaging. So migration is a big issue here, and of course, development, new materials, and also now with the CIRCUL-A-BILITY project, communication of packaging sustainability. To give you just a red line or a broader horizon for today is, well, when we're talking about sustainability and packaging, there are different questions. Often we're confronted with, why do we pack? I think that you all have a good background in this area, and it's mostly because we can avoid food losses and food waste with this. So sometimes a little bit more packaging can reduce these losses or wastes. And how to pack correctly, this is something taught in our study programs, but also what we transfer to industry, to the stakeholders. This is mainly, and I will give you a sort of a land map after this slide, is packaging has to be fit for purpose. So packaging has to make foods or take it in a way, the food, that it's able to be transported, to be stored, to be sold, to be consumed, and also then to, at the end of life, to get rid, let's say, of the packaging. So packaging is more or less a service function. It does not exist by its own because it always needs the product. So we only have packaging when there is also a product to protect. And how to pack sustainably? Well, this should be knowledge-based, so on basis of life cycle assessment, and also we have to take into consideration direct and indirect effects of the packaging. So not only the material, but also things like emptyability, shelf life, and so on that comes with this. And we not only thrive to have benefits in the environmental sustainability, but also social and economical benefits with this. To just, as I said, give you a short glimpse on how everything works together is this slide. Here, packaging first has to be effective, meaning it has to be, as I said, fit for purpose, so meeting its functions. To contain, to protect, to communicate, this is something we're going into detail later, and to offer some kind of convenience, so probably easy to handle, easy to open, easy to reclose, and so on. And there's a lot to consider when it comes to the material properties, which materials to take for which food applications. So do we have a barrier property, for example, physical, mechanical strength? What about migration and hygienic aspects also? So this is one central point when we're talking about sustainable packaging. If we don't have an effective packaging, we cannot really talk about the next things. One of them would be the efficient point. So when we're packing, we should aim for a minimum, let's say minimum, but optimum point. The problem here is if we are taking too less packaging, we may cause spoilage of the product. If we're taking too much, we cause environmental impacts. So here we always have to find the optimum point. When we have then succeeded here, we may have reduced resources that we need, reduced waste, probably more recycled material, also less emissions. Another point, very important, where I want to go into detail also later, is the cyclic point. Packaging has to be cyclic. What does that mean? That means that packaging is probably either bio-based, it could be also biodegradable or both, or it's recyclable. So meaning that it can go in this technical cycle of being recycled and recycled again. And last but not least, the packages have to be safe. Safe for humans, but also safe for the environment. Meaning, and this is also one of our focus, that, for example, migration has to be controlled. When we want now to achieve a true sustainable packaging, we have to look that every point is in its optimum point. It's not okay just to move or to optimize one point, for example, being most effective or most efficient, but risking that other points are not fulfilled. So let's go into detail about the cyclic point, where we did a lot of, let's say, research in the past, and where we worked together with stakeholders, with producers of packaging, but also fillers, so the food companies, but also retail. Here we developed this circular packaging design guideline I want to show you, and here I also want to make a short excursus with you. So this circular packaging design guideline has been developed with the stakeholders along the supply chain. And what is also great, it also has been adopted by lots of people and institutes. So for example, this guideline in Austria was basis for a big retailer or discounter to set up their strategy. And also, I will give this I will show you this later in detail, this packaging design for recycling guideline here from ECR, Efficient Consumer Response Austria. So as you can see, this is rather, let's say, hands-on and close to the companies, what we did here. And this is free to download, so please feel free, and afterwards we will also share the slides. To click this link or to Google it, just go FH Campus Wien and then Circular Packaging Design Guideline, and you will find this PDF, which is also regularly updated. So we're also trying to find the newest information here. So let's have this little excursus here to this Circular Packaging Design Guideline. I hope you can see the PDF also now. I will just show you how it's built up, give you some basic information on how to design recyclable packaging, and then dig a bit deeper into the PET section, how this guideline is built up, how to read the tables, and so Well, when we go in here, well, you can see that we, as I said, have had lots of cooperations here, for example, with Circle Analytics and Parkforce in Austria, but also with the World Packaging Organization, where we also aim to internationalize this this guideline to have something that is, let's say, valid for the whole world. Yes, I will go here now to the section where you have the general information about how to design recyclable packaging. These are these. I didn't make extra slides because I think this is perfectly written here. I just marked it here to tell you, well, when we're talking about the recyclable packaging, then it's our first aim is to have a material that is mainly just one material. So in the best case, the monomaterial, and as little additives as possible. Well, you may add or combine different materials, but then you should be very sure that these are possible for or able to be recycled. And please avoid too great mix of materials, too much also uncommon materials, meaning that, well, it's great that we develop thousands of new materials, but sometimes we do not have the recycling streams in place. So this is sometimes also some kind of chicken and egg problem, which we have with the recycling here. Yes, but probably also with the composite materials, there may be some new techniques in the future that will be in place. So as I said, this guideline is also updated regularly. So as soon as there is a new recycling scheme, then we will put it in. Talking about the colors, it's very important that you take transparent colors or lightly colored product, and not to go into, let's say, black or blue and so on, because these colors often cause problems in recycling, or lead to a material that is not as good as we wanted, so that the recycling material is a bit grayish and so on, and then may not be used in food contact again, but rather for, let's say, cleaning agents also. Also, there's a problem with carbon black dyes. So if you use them, you will have problems in NER sorting. So the machines in the sorting facilities will not be able to determine whether it's, for example, PET or PP or PE. But good news, there are also some other dyes available now that are not carbon black, but as I said, transparent or light colors would be best. Then talking about printing inks and decorations, it's very important that you take colors that are okay by the EUPIA, European Printing Ink Associations. And if you print your print dates or charge numbers or so on the bottle or packaging, then do this via laser engraving. This saves inks, and especially inks that bleed and may contaminate the recycler. Yes, also here important, take sleeves or labels that can be separated, that do not consist of too much fibers, so that they are wet strength papers, for example, or plastics that have a different density. So that the bottle, when it's shredded, for example, and the label or also the closure and so on can be separated, for example, by floating technique. And when you're using sleeves, so full body sleeves that are covering the bottle, for example, this is not an optimum. Try to be as little as possible. For example, what we recommend, 50% of the packaging maximum should be covered here, to give the NER detection a chance of detecting the material. Well, and probably not so material points, but also very important is emptyability. use or design a shape where you can get everything of the food out. This is again something that goes hand in hand with this food losses and food waste topic. If you have, let's say, 10% food left in the package, you will have a big environmental footprint, and you also impair the recycling process. And then there's another thing, rather new, also from the plastics directive here. For example, small parts that cannot or that are not loose, that stick to the packaging. Try to avoid small parts that get lost. Only thing where you should or where you want things to separate is when you have, for example, deep drawn packages, like, for example, sliced meat or cheese products, where you want the top foil to be removed completely. Yes. And also be sure, and that is something that is pointed to research at the moment, to use adhesives that do not impair the recycling process. Well, this is the let's say, overall how to design recyclable packaging. But also be aware that sometimes packages or components are not separated, for example, in cardboard, plastic combinations. Be aware to inform. This is a point where we're going into detail later, to inform and also give incentives or some kind of nudging measures to make people really sort out the things. So this was the general part. And just to give you a glimpse now, there are different materials described. For example, the PET bottle. I mentioned some of this. You will also find, you will always find here a category, like, for example, the base packaging or packaging aids or decoration. And then 3 columns giving you an indication what to use. So what is good for recycling, limited or poor. For example, as I said, PET material, plain is great, but not if you mix it with, let's say, other components. Okay, and since we only have very little time, I want to go back to my presentation, leaving you with this information. Really take it, download it, and have a look. It's a great thing if you develop packaging. As I said, this has been adopted by others. For example, here, this packaging design for recycling. This is unfortunately only available in German, but as you can see here, more illustrated and easy to use for designers that do not really have a big background in packaging technology. Well, you've seen that this is rather hands-on and together with companies what we did here. And we really appreciate that companies are doing a lot. Okay, so we have lots of projects, lots of working groups running and so on. But what we also see is that there are some gaps. So gaps mainly in the communication. So when the consumer is in the supermarket, although the company does a lot on being effective, efficient, cyclic, safe, they do not have really clues on the packaging and also on their homepage why they've chosen the packaging, why this packaging is sustainable or not, what is the benchmarking, and so on. So what we're doing at the moment in the COST project is that we're running a big analysis, a market check, let's say. And since I'm a leader of this working group, cereals and confectionery, we started off with waffles, so sweets here. And we want to understand the gap between what attributes or cues the producers are giving and what the consumers need and what is actually in the packaging. And we have here over 200 packages already from across Europe. We have 90 categories and in total about 14,000 entries now in our database that we're going to analyze. and also set up an attribute Q matrix, and we will present this at the Cost Circular-A-Bility conference in September. I will go to this later, and there will also be a research paper, but not only one, but different research papers. This is the first one on the Qs. The other ones will be on the recyclability, on the sustainability also of these packages. Where are we today? So this is the aim of our work here. And just a few words, closing words, and probably Giancarlo also wants to join in. We've mentioned this Circular-A-Bility action several times today. So this is a cost action which is named Rethinking Packaging for Circular and Sustainable Food Chains of the Future. You also find the link here. So it's just circular-ability.org. And we have over 200 participants from 44 countries. We're working in 4 big working groups on meat and fish and fruits and vegetable, milk and dairy and other products, cereals and confectionery, my group. And we also have the stakeholder engagement, where we want to bring together the industry, science partners, and retail and so on. Yes, Giancarlo, do you want to say something more to our conference, which will be held in September in Italy?
Okay, I will. Did you finish with your presentation?
Yes, that's.
So let me thanks a lot for your presentation, and also I thank you a lot for being into the time. But you know, being an Austrian, I didn't have any doubt about it. Thanks a lot, Vittoria. Yes, thanks for announcing the conference. I want to take this chance. Actually, I'm going to share. I don't know, Nawel, can I share my screen?
Okay, I will stop my
screen, of course.
And at this moment say thank you for listening. I'm happy to answer questions at the end.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vittoria. And I will share now my presentation. Let's see, I'm going to be able now. Okay, I think you're seeing it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's just one slide, just to announce the first Circular-A-Bility conference, which is one of the activities of the cost action. Actually, you can see the logo of the cost action here, which is just rotated of a certain angle, just to say that the action is putting in movement. And that's gonna be online from 26th to 29th. You can get to the website of the conference through the website of the action, which is this one. And I actually invite you to join the action. It's free of charge. You can just be part of this big community. As Professor Krauter told, we are now over 240 participants from 39 countries, although the countries associated with the management committee now are 37. This is not updated. And the ratio about this cost action was to put together different expertise. So every working group, which Victoria announced, include food technologists, food scientists, material scientists, expert of migration and chemistry of packaging, consumer scientists, colleagues that works with evaluation of sustainability, and we try to assort within each work group both industry, academia, and policymakers also. So I think it's a place where, you know, you share ideas, and the objective is to come out with at least one, let's say, innovative solution for each kind of food category. And so, as you could see within the developing of the action, we're starting also to start brand new research, although the R&D programs are not funded by the action, but we will get together to find other funds for doing research. Last but not least, the action is coordinated by Professor Milena Koredic from Aarhus University, and I'm serving like the vice chair of the action. Just a few words about this conference. As I said, it's going to be online. It's going to be from 26th to 29th of September. We already had many abstracts, and we decided to extend the deadline for abstracts. So the previous deadline was last week, actually, and we extended that until July 31st, so at the end of the month. And just to show you the program, we try to put all the aspects related with packaging sustainability. So new packaging solution to reduce food losses, active and smart packaging, new food packaging materials, ensuring safety of the food contact material, packaging sustainability, consumer attitudes and communication, metrics and assessment of packaging sustainability, and then recycling and life and packaging and logistics. We have had abstract on all these topics already. We're working on invited speakers. We have already some speakers defined, which will be announced in the process in the next couple of days, and in consumer behavior. She graduated in economics at University of Milan and in food quality management at Wageningen University. She researched how consumers' data used by today's food companies. And in her PhD program, Julia deals with how to prompt consumer sustainable behavior and consumer acceptance of sustainable innovation. She uses qualitative methodologies, interview with laddering techniques, focus group interviews, quantitative methodologies, and experimental design, choice experiment, online experiment, lab, and field experiment. And she's part of the European consortium MyPack, which is one of the entity which is co-organizing this webinar here. So, Julia, the floor is yours. Julia's talk is entitled "A Meaningful Reminder of Sustainability When Explicit and Implicit Packaging Cues Meet." Julia, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the introduction. Now I will share my presentation. Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, so hello everybody. I'm indeed the second speaker of today's webinar. Just to introduce myself quickly, since Giancarlo already did, I'm Julia. I'm a PhD researcher at Wageningen University in the Netherlands. I work in the Marketing Consumer Behavior Group, and my team is composed by Hans van Trijp and Arnoud Fischer. Wageningen University, and especially my group, is also indeed a part of MyPack project. And in MyPack, as we said, different European companies are involved to develop and commercialize new sustainable packaging, and Wageningen University is involved to understand the consumer acceptance of these technologies. Wageningen University is also a university really oriented towards sustainability and agri-food in the agri-food domain, so we have a great fit with this project. So actually today I will present you the last results of our studies, and the talk of Victoria actually introduced really well the topic. So just to introduce, indeed, as we already said, the current patterns of production and consumption have led to huge environmental problems, and packaging is also one of the main actors. If you think about it, every goods on a mass scale has a packaging, and that produce huge environmental problems and waste. And as also Victoria in her talk said, companies are actually doing a lot to in trying to reduce this environmental impact and in developing new sustainable solutions in the food domain, and not only. And indeed, these companies, the research institute, and also European Union are increasingly more involved in what we call the eco-packaging design, so the development and commercialization of biodegradable and compostable material, of bio-based material, of reusable packaging or recycled, etc., etc. But also we see in the literature, and not only, that we have a communication problem. So the technology is investing a lot in producing these new technologies, but actually we have a poor recognition from the society. And also we say that these sustainable innovation often are recognized as distinctive, so from the conventional plastic, and as more sustainable. So are in the what we call a type of disruptive type of innovations. So where there are a lot of technological potential, a lot of technological investment, but poor recognition from society. And also probably everybody of us also had encountered difficulties in recognizing, not only in the moment of purchase, in recognizing the difference and the sustainability of this new packaging, but also in the moment of disposal. A lot of time we don't know where actually this package should go. Okay, so our research in this last period has tried to focus on a new strategy to improve the sustainability communication of these eco-packaging innovations, how we can better communicate the distinctiveness and sustainability. And we have formulated a new concept that also represents a theoretical framework that we call it the meaningful reminder. But now I will not go through that because I have only 20 minutes, but it's also in the paper. In any case, what we do in this study, that I will show you briefly as an overview today, we test implicit and explicit packaging cues on a range of sustainable consumer responses. And I will explain you later what I mean. And then we want to see if these cues, explicit and implicit, works better in combination or in isolation. First of all, if I look at their current research, what I see as a knowledge gap, I see that a lot of time these cues, explicit and implicit, are often studied in isolation. So explicit cues are those cues that need more a cognitive process to be indeed processed in our brain. So for example, text, labels, they require what we call informational belief formation route. And then we have the implicit cues that actually require a less cognitive process. So it's more automatic, more intuitive. That what we call also inferential route, and are, for example, the tactile element of a packaging, the sound, the color, etc. Not only of a packaging, but everything that you perceive. For example, you can infer the sustainability of the packaging from a green color, because you have an association between green color and nature and environment in your mind. In other cases, for example, like a tactile element or a sound, maybe you do not have yet this association in your memory with sustainability. And why I say that? Because actually these implicit cues are often present in this new sustainable packaging that often come with different sensory properties than conventional plastic. For example, this is a recycled material. You see this container for a baby food in this case, and has a non-uniform look. You see that it's not completely transparent. Or biodegradable and compostable packaging often are more opaque than conventional plastic. Or a PLA has a different sound than really loud sound and noisy sound than conventional plastic. So indeed, all of these packaging come with different sensory properties. Actually now are often hidden in the overall design, because the packaging designers are afraid of the limits to consumer acceptance of this technology, and they try to mimic the conventional plastic. And also, of course, this contributes to the communication problem we have. Then, if I want to investigate indeed how these different cues, explicit and explicit, work together, we see in the theory conflicting perspective. So the typical social psychology idea is that if I provide you more information, I have more persuasive impact. So more information, I can persuade you better, or you can simply have the inference, the more the better. So more cues could actually be better for sustainability. But if I look at other research line, especially Kahneman, etc., we see that actually a lot of time cues are actually perceived and evaluated better in isolation than in combination. And in combination, they do not produce any additive effect. And if I look at other research line again, especially the greenwashing literature, we see that actually more cues can actually be worse for sustainability. So providing more information could actually make people believe that is like too much to be true, too much to be really sustainable. So you see there are different and contradictory perspectives out there, and we also want to put clarity in this regard. Okay, then we did a first data collection between October and February 2021. So you see, like, we're in COVID time, so we had all the precautions. And first of all, we conducted 5 different studies. Now we will just give an overview. So, for example, one study was a simple, what we call 2x2 between subject design. So you have the implicit cue absent present and explicit cue absent present. So you have 4 groups. One group of consumer experienced a control packaging that is like similar to conventional plastic. Another group of consumer experienced the package with an implicit cue present, and in this case we chose a tactic element that is also typical of some of these technologies. Another group of consumer experienced the package with explicit cue. So in this case, we have the logo and the explanation of biodegradable and compostable material, so the text and the logo. And in the other condition, you have the combination. And then what we measure salience of sustainability. So we want to see if once consumer experience this packaging across these different conditions, we can assist to differences in salience of sustainability. And what does it mean? It means that we measure the activation of the sustainability related construct in consumer mind. This is usually done with a lexical decision task that measures the reaction time. So the assumption behind that is that if your object, if your stimuli is able to activate a sustainability-related construct in consumer mind, consumers, or us, our brain, is react faster to sustainability-related words, such as nature, environment, etc., than to control words. And then we also measure through a task that is called thoughts listing task. So you actually ask consumers to mention the thoughts and feelings they have while experiencing the stimuli. And then we measure perception of sustainability. As you see, we did that with different product categories and different packaging technology. This one with the salad is, for example, a micro-insertion that keeps the atmosphere inside the packaging constant, and also the salad remains fresher for longer. It's also developed within MyPack. In this case, for example, the biscuits, you had biodegradable packaging, and this one was recycled. This was also how they were developed. They were actually developed ad hoc for this research by the Research Institute of Sustainable Packaging in the Netherlands. And here you see an overview. So we developed this Granny brand to make the package as realistic as possible. And then we had this different range of implicit cue that could be like a tactic element, or like different color of the package that represent some of these natural properties of sustainable packaging. And also you have the explicit cue. So in this case, we have the text and explanation of the recycled material, in this case of the biodegradable and compostable, in this case of the micro-insertion technology I explained before. Okay, so some of the results. First of all, when we measure salience and perception of sustainability, we see that if you see the point, like for example, the 74.36, actually this point is lower than the other two. And in this case, also we see that actually the combination of explicit and implicit cue actually does not increase neither salience neither perception of sustainability. So one of the main results that we can conclude is that the combination of implicit and explicit cue decrease or does not increase sustainability salience and perception. So in this case, more is less, or definitely more is not more. So providing more, so combining explicit and implicit cues, can actually be harmful for sustainability communication. And we replicate these results with other stimuli, and we also obtain the same results. Then we conducted another study where actually we changed different implicit cues. So we have, for example, the sound, typical of biodegradable or bio-based packaging: tactile property, opacity level, graphic, and color. And then we have a different range of explicit cues, such as recycle and biodegradable. And they were developed 1,100 samples. So here another results. First of all, we see that implicit cues are not equally, do not work equally well in conveying sustainability by themselves. Because here in this table, I point meaningless and meaningful. So it means that already these results show, especially the result from the salience of sustainability, that some implicit cues can activate the sustainability-related construct more, better, or worse by themselves already. And actually, when you combine explicit cues to meaningless implicit cues, you have a higher increment, if you see on this left part of the table, than when you actually combine explicit cue to already meaningful implicit cue. So it means that some implicit cues, such as the sound and the touch, are meaningless and inherently meaningless in conveying sustainability, because probably these cues do not have an already existing association with sustainability, while others, like opacity, look, and color, can already activate the sustainability-related concept by themselves. So here, basically, we study one of the conditions that could affect the effect of this combination on sustainability, salience, and perception. That is actually the nature of the implicit cues, whether they are meaningless or meaningful. And then we conduct another study where we actually want to test not only salience and perception of sustainability, but even actual disposal behavior. So if I change these different cues, can I actually make consumer dispose the packaging more or less sustainably? And then we test the effect of different explicit cues in this time. So, for example, whether explicit cue can create actually a link between the different sensory property and sustainability, or if they actually generically explain the sustainability of the packaging. And what do I mean with creating a link? So here we test whether, I have to explain so this one before. So we created a video where there is a packaging expert standing on his lab coat, explaining these different technologies that there was on a desk. And in some condition, he indeed explained the sustainability, making a link between the different sensory features of the sustainable packaging, such as tactile element, a different color, a different sound, saying, for example, these are recycled material and therefore have different sensory properties than conventional packaging, such as comes with different appearance, color, etc. And in other conditions, instead, they explain the definition of recycled material. So it's basically a material being processed to be reused and function as a new packaging. And we also did another data collection in February 2021. And first of all, we see, when we measure sustainability perception, that consumers perceive the package as more sustainable when specific explicit information were provided. And indeed, with specific, I mean when this information were able to create a link with sustainability. And actually, we see a significant effect only for meaningless implicit cues. So in this case, providing this information that can actually create a link between sustainability and these different sensory properties helps sustainability communication, because you see that the black bar is higher and significantly higher than the white bar. And also the specific explicit information best serve meaningless implicit cues in this condition. Nothing happened in the other condition with meaningful implicit cues. So here we test another condition, so condition 2, that can actually change this overall phenomenon. And then when actually we also measure disposal behavior, we see that this type of information that we can call indeed specific, so that they create a link between sustainability and the different sensory properties, not only impact salience and perception of sustainability, but even how consumers dispose the packaging, because you see that this one is significantly has a significant effect compared to the generic, for example. So consumers dispose the packaging more sustainably when specific information were provided, and no significant results were actually found on food disposal, because we also measure the food disposal. So in conclusion, if I would give a practical implication and practical advice for future development of sustainable packaging, I would say, first of all, that more can be less. So actually combining explicit implicit cues to an already meaningful implicit cue can be harmful for sustainability communication. So packaging developers have to then adopt a careful and scientific-based consideration of how to combine these cues, because providing more that can actually harm sustainability communication. Then I would also say that the distinctive sensory properties of eco-material can actually be used at the advantage of sustainability. So we can say that packaging designer can actually stop or limit to mimic this conventional plastic that is actually the common practice nowadays a lot of the time. Then it's also important to consider whether these implicit cues that you want to adopt are actually meaningless or meaningful in nature. So if they already have an association with sustainability in consumer mind or not. And then also I would be more in favor of using specific explicit information that can create an association, this missing link that is often indeed missing, so what we can also say a reason to believe, because this specific explicit information can actually increase not only sustainability perception of the packaging that is already good in the moment of purchase, but even actual sustainable behavior. So if you in the end want to change how people dispose the packaging, and if people can become more sustainable in that, then for sure you should opt for this specific type of information. And also another result that I did not have time to present, but in general we also measure skepticism, because it's also often what is measured in the research in the greenwashing literature. Actually, this type of information can also reduce feeling of skepticism towards the packaging. It's actually fundamental for the consumer acceptance and adoption of this technology. And indeed, as I would be more in favor of this specific information rather than generic, and why I would be in this way is because generic information are actually not so useful and can even be harmful for sustainability and also skepticism. So this was a general overview of these results. This information and data are part of the paper that is under review in the Journal of Environmental Psychology. And now I thank you for your attention, and this is also my email.
So we back to the webinar. Now we can ask questions by microphone or by chatting as you want. So who is willing to ask a question, please go ahead and turn your microphone, and you're welcome to ask questions.
Maybe a question for Julia. Sorry, my camera is a bit bad. How did you choose the food categories? Was there a special background on why you chose salad?
Anna-Sophia, sorry, can you introduce yourself? Just
sorry. Yes, my name is Bauer Anna-Sophia. I'm working with Victoria in the Competence Center for Future-Oriented Packaging Solution in Vienna. I'm part of the cost section and working on the wafer paper that Victoria mentioned on this database. And I mean, we chose confectionery for our research. And now I wanted to ask Julia why you chose those special food categories, if there was a background, or what was the background behind this decision?
Yeah, so indeed we chose biscuits, baby food, and salad. And these are actually the three main food categories with interest for sustainable packaging in MyPack project, because we have companies in Germany, France, and Greece that are developing recycled material, biodegradable and compostable, and this micro-insertion technology for these categories specifically. So for example, the micro-insertion is a target to salad, because the idea is indeed to keep the salad fresh for longer, is a fresh product, and also reduce the waste. Biodegradable and compostable are also used because for dry products such as biscuit, and actually we thought biscuits were actually one of the stimuli in the research, actually the main one I would say, because it's like a normal product, standard product, and where actually consumer would not have any involvement or any particular involvement. It was like a simple biscuit. And also the third one was indeed the baby food, because indeed there is a HIP, the company in Germany, developing also producing these baby food products, and interesting to see the application for the sustainable materials for the baby food product.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Julia. Any other question? Victoria, can I ask you if are you thinking of translating that handbook in different European languages?
Well, the circular packaging design guideline, currently it's available in English and German. From our side, so far, it was not planned to do so, but probably via this World Packaging Organization guideline that we are planning. I don't know the status here. I can ask. Okay, because I think it might be useful to have it, a tool like that available in different yes, languages. But what we are doing right now is constantly bringing in new, let's say, countries, because right now we have the recycling infrastructure for Austria, Germany, and the Netherlands, and we are looking also for the other countries to make this valid there. Okay, thanks a lot, Victoria. Any other question from the floor? Please turn on your microphone.
Yes, Christel Schulz here, European Bioplastics.
Okay,
I hope it's okay if I ask a question to both the speakers today, and thanks for the nice presentations. I wanted to ask if you are already or have been in touch with the other PAC projects. I know that MyPack has been joining forces with the GlowPack and I think the YPack project. And I'm representing here today Preserve as another European project dealing with bio-based packaging, actually. So there's words combined. And just the question maybe for Julia, if the findings of your studies have already been published or are available at some point, and for Victoria, of course, if there would be an interest to also check if we can combine forces with the Preserve project.
Julia, go ahead.
Yeah. So indeed, as I said in the last slide, this data, of course, I had to present an overview time-wise, but indeed the complete data are available, but not yet, because the paper is under review in the Journal of Environmental Psychology with the title of this presentation, the same title. So not yet, but I hope it will be accepted soon, and then it will be published and available for everybody.
Okay, thanks a lot for clarification.
Victoria, do you wanna?
Yes, and from our side, we're happy to make projects and things together. So also via the cost circular-ability. So this is, as Giancarlo said, it just started off last winter. We're in the first year, and at the moment what we're doing is a product review. So we're checking what does the product need, how to pack it, and also what is the footprint of the packages that are available. So this is a review on LCAs, and so this market check. So what is the situation as it is at the moment? And then the goal is to later on have newly developed materials, shelf life tests, also some kind of guidelines or information for, let's say, consumers or producers or retailers and so on. So this is pretty open, and we are happy to join forces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, if I can add, Christian, of course, a cost action is open to everyone, and actually should be let's say the typical ground where all the project results, like your project or MyPack in this case, bring their results. And actually, in the activity that working groups are doing now, they are probably looking at all the papers which have been published recently through the European funded project on that. And also, again, I'm the convener of that conference. All the projects which have been producing results are welcome to present their results in our conference. And actually, we will be publishing the papers which will be presented in the Journal of the Science of Food and Agriculture, which is a Wiley's publication, which has an impact factor of 3 point something now, a newly gained impact factor. And well, I really make an invitation to everyone who is working on food packaging at different level, R&D, dissemination, regulation, users, to join the cost action. We are a very large community now, as I said. And the nice thing, actually, when we started to work at the proposal, we were some colleagues, which we were just food technologists, food scientists, so we used packaging. And the idea was to put together different kind of expertise. And for me, I work on post-harvest technology of fruits and vegetables. So, you know, I just use packaging for modified atmosphere packaging. But it's really fun because I'm meeting a whole new world of expertises and colleagues and scientists. So we just started, and there is a lot of things going on. Actually, Victoria didn't mention that we're planning a summer school on these topics, actually, on how to communicate with consumer on issues related to sustainability. And actually, I think the dates of the summer school will be decided in a week next meeting.
Yeah, they will be decided soon, and probably the start of this summer school will be end of August, beginning of September, and it will not be held in let's say one block, but 3 or 4 different blocks, so that we at the beginning have some introduction, then setting up of ideas, then going to the market and also to databases that are available, and to collect information, to analyze the information, and then to also prepare publications and so on.
So this is, sure, Christian, and we look forward to cooperate. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yes, I would like to add how to join us. I hope you can see now the second screen of mine. Well, if you're interested in joining the project, here's on our homepage, interested in joining us, where you can sign in. And additionally, you can contact the working group leaders. So if you're, for example, interested now in cereals and confectionery and my research on my group, then please go ahead and contact me. You find my email address and also email addresses of the others on the homepage about us and the teams and so on. So you can click and directly contact us there. Or at the end of my presentation, there's also my email. So that's the way you can contact us, and I'm happy, as I said, to start cooperation here. And yes, I've also been to your conference, the European Bioplastics Conference in Berlin before COVID-19. So.
Yes, I was wondering actually, because I've seen your name on the participant list a few times ago, but then I was still in another working at another research institute. So thanks for all the information, and I will of course get back to you, and looking forward to work together.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks a lot, Christian. Any other questions or comment, please?
Christophe Cotillon from Actia.
Hello, Christophe. Good morning.
Hello. Nice to meet you. So I'm the coordinator of MyPack, with Patrice Doll, also in charge of the scientific issues. My question was about the communication and dissemination activities inside the cost group. How do you decide? Is there some people specialized in these activities, or how do you promote your guidelines, for instance, on recyclability and so on? Because as we said previously, it would be interesting to get them in French, and to disseminate, to communicate these interesting guidelines in France. So how do you decide? How do you manage this?
Part of the communication dissemination, which is Dr. Philip Scholten. He works for Bio. I don't remember sorry, I don't remember the name of the companies Philip works for. Is based in Switzerland, in Zurich. Bloom something about this moment. So he's in charge of all the communication, and he's doing it through the website and through a number of social medias. And going back to the guidelines, that guidelines it's not been produced within the cost action, I think it would be interesting that Victoria and co-workers think about translating it in other languages. Victoria, are you thinking about that?
Yes, yes. Please get in contact with me, and I can link you to my colleagues who did the design and also the well, language part of it. And probably we can do something here. What I also wanted to say, what is probably an option for us when we are more or less at the end of the CIRCUL-A-BILITY project. We had before also cost action, which was called MyPack, about active and intelligent packaging. And there we did leaflets. So one leaflet for active packaging, intelligent packaging, sustainability, and legal aspects. And this we translated in different languages. So that made a possibility of our running action to at the end have let's say not this guideline but guidelines or information to be available in different languages. We could take this up.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Victoria. I just want to take the chance. The coordinator of MyPack project joined the discussion to show the website of MyPack project, and it's actually a very nice website, and you know, both in terms of new things. For example, I'm familiar with this blow technology produced by the University of Basilicata in Potenza, but there are also a lot of materials for dissemination from the project. So I really think that all these activities which has been funded by the European Commission should, you know, in some way try to find a place where all these activities can continue in terms of dissemination or starting new other R&D projects. And sometimes we all have activities going on. So within a community like the cost action, we might find, you know, the ideal partners to carry on the things in a better way. So I really invite you to join our cost action. I go back to the website that Victoria was showing. When you click on how to join, you have just well, you just put some information, and you can just join one of the working groups. And we have 4 working groups related to main food types. And actually, we are starting already. I mean, all the work groups are producing dissemination activities like webinars or workshops. They are working on literature reviews. And that's why I said that lots of results coming out from the European projects, which have been working the last few years, are being analyzed through these activities. And also they're starting to select some models, food models, in order to you know, go on with the final result, final objective of the working groups, which is come up with some sustainable solution for each food type. There is also a work group on stakeholder and communication. We're trying to, within this work group, to get the involvement of you know, industry, but especially policymakers, which because this part is very important in order to see how to channel all the information coming out from all the R&D activities within EU-funded project. As you see, we have also some webinars going on. We have had already 2 construction webinars. There is another one which will be held September 23, and another one which will be held what is November 25. But again, if you have results you want to share, please join the conference. Deadline for abstract is July 31st. And again, it's very simple to apply. We have a small registration fee, although all the members of the management committee of this construction don't need to pay, and also all the residents in ITC countries, they don't need to pay the registration, but the registration is very low. The list of ITC countries is this one for those participating from this country. So I thank everyone for participating in this webinar. I want to thank, of course, the speakers, Giulia Granato and Vittoria Crowther. I want to thank Dr. Cotillon for, getting together on this webinar, the 2 projects. And I want to thank Dr. Nawel Adman from Yambari, because she was the engine of this webinar. She organized everything.